Okay. I mean, 14 years into the show, I still don't have like a real intro, so it's just like every show starts with, all right, another one.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. Outside the Cinema, your weekly source for cult movie discussion. Your hosts, Bill and Chris, are here. Hello, Chris.
Hi. How are you?
Doing fine.
Yeah.
You doing fine?
Yeah. I'm doing. Yeah. You know what? Yeah.
Fine's about right.
I'll say yeah.
Because we have the whole Massachusetts and Northeast, well, but maybe more New England thing where, like, I had my ACs on less than a week ago, and then I got up this morning and it was 52 degrees in my house.
Yep.
I just don't understand how we can't.
No, and it's not like there's going to be a day where it's going to go back up if you look ahead.
No, like, we'll be lucky to hit usually 72 now at this point. You get that one day where it goes into the 40s, and then it never goes back above 70 again.
Yeah, it says we have a 75 coming up on Friday,
we'll
but
see.
that's in between a 69 and a 57.
Yeah.
So
we'll see about that, man. But it's unbelievable. It's like it was like sweaty AC, sleeping with the ACs on, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh shit, it is fucking cold.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, the funniest thing to me is that, like, I was thinking about this the other day. I'm laying in bed and the fan's on and the window's open and it dropped. And, you know, under a quilt or comforter or whatever, it's not so bad. But I was thinking, all right, I'm a little bit cold, but in the summer when it's 90, 45, 50 degrees is nice.
Yep.
And it's not nice right now.
Yeah, but now fast forward to beginning of March, 50 degrees, you're going to be wearing fucking shorts.
Yeah, it's all about conditioning, isn't it?
It really is. And in New England especially, it's just fucking annoying. Like, we have 4 seasons here. But, like, 2 of them last for most of the year. And then you get 15 minutes of autumn, which is easily the best 15 minutes of the year. 15 minutes of... No, you don't even get 15 minutes of spring. You get maybe, like, 8 minutes of spring.
Well, we get the shitty part of spring with all the cold weather and rain.
Yeah, we just call that winter.
Oh, okay.
Fair, right?
If it's rain, I call it spring unless it's January.
Seriously, right? Oh, man. But, yeah, I guess spooky season started.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I love it, but I hate it.
I
love it, but I hate it. Everybody on the planet's like, hey, let's go to Salem. And I'm like, hey, die.
How about you don't?
How about you stop ruining all my friends' days, please? Because I have friends that work and live in Salem, and they hate you. Just know that if you're a tourist and you're coming to Salem for Halloween for spooky season, the people of Salem don't like you.
No, but the business owners do.
No, the business owners don't like the people either. They just put up with it because of the money that they make.
Okay.
I know some of those business owners. And they say, yes, the money that I make in the month of October will pay my bills for the year. But the people are terrible.
Oh, of course they are.
They are terrible.
But wouldn't it be better to only hate 1 month out of the year than all of them?
I mean, I'm sure probably most of those people probably hate all of them. But if you ever go to Salem, like first week of December, it's the best. It's the best.
That's not bad. Yeah, there's nothing going on.
It's the best, man.
Yeah.
Good restaurants over there. Excellent record store. Yeah. Anyway, this week on the show. All right. One of these is a Patreon pick, and one of these is one that Chris slid in there without me paying attention to.
Oh, no, this is they're both Patreon picks.
Oh, are they? Are they both
They
Howards?
are. I wouldn't do this to you. Huh?
Well, no, I mean, it's a found footage flick, so I thought, because you only put Howard's name next to one of them.
Because I deleted the other one and forgot the name.
Oh, Jesus, man.
Come on.
This is why you let me do this stuff. Be it, it was like Saturday afternoon and I hadn't sent you movies yet. but that's not the point.
Yeah. I know.
It's not the point.
I know. I'm slacking because I lost the name that you have a list of.
Yeah, but we have a shared list. So Chris and I have entered the 19th century, and we have a shared list on Apple Notes. That way, both of us can just, as Patreon picks come in, we add them to the list, and then we have a spot for the upcoming show and like what's. And giving Chris access to it apparently was not a good idea.
Hey, it was once. Come on.
It's fair. All right. Well, if you are a Patreon supporter, thank you so much for taking care of the show. Chris couldn't be bothered to remember what your name is, though. And you suggested record.
I'm pretty sure that after the review, they're going to be like, yeah, I didn't pick that movie.
Record of Sweet Murder. Which
I'd never heard of it.
I'd never heard of it either. It's a Korean-Japanese release from the director of... he directed, probably best known as the director of Slipmouth Woman, but he also directed Teki Teki 1 and 2. He directed Norai. He directed a whole bunch of those kind of like lower level found footage pseudo documentary Asian horror flicks. And we'll get into it because I actually really like some of this guy's stuff. And then some of it like is not nearly as good because like he directed Grotesque 2, which was the film that a lot of people know about because it was the first film to be banned by the BBC in since the Video Nasty days. And it's fucking terrible.
Well, I mean,
I guess that's par for the course, but we'll get into it. So, Record of a Sweet Murder available on Tubi in the United States, and then Howard's pick was the 1983 supernatural slogger Superstition.
Yes, which I found has 8 different release dates. So whichever number you go with, I'm going to go with.
Yeah, 82, 83, somewhere in there. Early in the 80s horror cycle. Something I'd never seen. I was not familiar with it. I vaguely remembered seeing the art in different VHS art in some stores and stuff, but I had never seen it. So
the title was never enough to grab me.
Yeah, very basic title for a very basic movie. Sorry not to spoil the review. So yeah, Superstition and Record of Sweet Murder. We are getting our way through these Patreon picks. We still have a couple left to go, but we've got patrons that are part of the Patreon that have not suggested anything. So if you have not suggested us a film, or if you have not reached out to have us cover something or do a list or something, please go on to Patreon, jump on the messages there, send it to us. If you're not a member already and you're enjoying the show and you want to suggest some stuff, sign up. Patreon.com/outside the cinema. We'll cater a show to your suggestions. We'll cover the movies you want us to cover. If you want us to go back old school and do a list segment for you, we can do that. Hell, if you want to come on the show, you got to be available on Monday afternoons, but you can definitely come on the show with us if you like. And we'd love to have you. But patreon.com/outside the cinema, for as little as $5 a month, you can get all hooked up there. You get the shows early on Monday or Tuesday afternoons, as opposed to waiting till Thursday or Friday when they're released. You get the full access to the show archives, get all the exclusive content that we release there. And now I know we haven't really released a lot of exclusive content there recently. I've just been I've been busy. Sorry, guys. I mean, I'm busy doing the good Lord's work. I don't know what that means. Making I'm working
touching children?
No, that's the bad Lord.
No, that's the Jesus guy. I've seen his guys in the Vatican.
That's the bad Lord.
Covering it up.
Sorry. It's all good. No, but so I mean, I've been busy with Don't Forget to Leave. We're actually really making progress on that now, and we got about our 40 minute early assembly cut, so that's pretty good. We're getting there. First of 3 segments that we're putting together for it, so that'll be hopefully available later this year. You listen to the show, you keeping up with it. And The Woodsman is playing all over the place, man. We played a couple places last week. We got The Woodsman coming up in October. I should probably just get it up here in front of me. Hold on one second. Oh, that's a picture of what is that? What do you call that? Raccoon. That's what it's called.
Okay.
Sorry. Sorry. I'm having one of those weeks, man, where I'm just kind of like, yeah, it's all going to happen. All right, so the big one for you guys is Sunday, October 23rd at the Central Cinema as part of the Knoxville Horror Film Festival. There's 2 film festivals that I will always tell people are worth your time and worth your effort to make if you can get to them. One of them is the Shawn O'Shea Film Festival, which we talked about last week, and the other is the Knoxville Horror Film Festival, which is hands down the greatest like film festival experience I've had that I've traveled to. Obviously, local festivals are kind of a different beast because you know a lot more people, but the people in Knoxville, unbelievable people. And we are playing on Sunday, October 23rd in what is just a fucking killer day of content. Noon, The Leech, which is Eric Penikoff's new flick, is playing. It's also a Christmas-style horror film. Eric did Sadistic Intentions a few years ago, which is one of my favorite films of the last 10 years. Super excited about that. We are the opening short film for Joe Bagos' new flick, who did VFW a couple years ago, which was huge. Christmas, Bloody Christmas. So you got The Leech. The Woodsman is right between that and Christmas, Bloody Christmas. And then Kids vs. Aliens is after that. I don't know if you guys have seen the preview for Kids vs. Aliens yet, but that looks fucking dope as fuck too. Something in the Dirt, and then they're going to have their yearly award ceremony. And then the festival closes out that night with Brian Usna's Society. So, a pretty sick fucking day of films to watch. So let's see. Yeah, we were in the Foggy Isle.
That's Something in the Dirt is Moorhead and Benson's new one, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're on a hell of a day there.
Yeah, I'm really interested in that one.
I will not be there this year. It's the one festival that I was like, if Kyle and I can try to travel to get to, we were going to. It just, I mean, the month of October is just so tough.
Yeah.
It's just so tough. So yeah, we played Philadelphia Unnamed. We played Shawn O'Shea. We played the Foggy Isle Film Festival. We played the Dark Fest. We played the Charlotte Film Festival this past weekend. What else? I mean, we were in the Witch something awards or something or other. I don't even know, man. But it's everywhere. Head over to at OTC Bill or at KR Kuchta's Instagrams to get all the information there. So. Okay. Which one of these movies you want to do first, man? All right, then.
The second one.
The second one? The Korean film? Japanese Korean film?
There you go.
All right.
There you go. You picked it. I didn't.
I can't locate a trailer. What the hell is it called? Record of Sweet Murder?
Record of Sweet Murder.
Let's see. I couldn't find a trailer of it earlier when I was looking, but that's okay. It's in Korean and Japanese. So, and this is a 2014 flick, so it's just outside of the normal 10-year rule, but that's okay. Record of Sweet Murder. Also, the original title for it is Aru Yashiki Sashushanya no Koroku. Sorry. This is directed by Koji Shishari, who, as we said earlier, is known for doing Splitmouth Woman, Grotesque. Let me just scroll through here. Welcome to the Occult Forest. We've covered a bunch of his films. Let me scroll through and just see what we've actually covered. So he also did the Sadako versus Kayako film from a couple years ago.
Oh, yep.
But we've covered and featured Cult. We did. I'm pretty sure his 2013 film, or I showed it on part of as one of the throwdowns a few years ago. I think actually that's what that was. I showed that as part of one of the throwdowns.
Yeah.
Cursed Violent People. Nope. Tekeke we did on a throwdown. Occult we covered and featured on a throwdown. Grotesque we showed a throwdown, or I think we actually may have reviewed it at one point. Splitmouth Woman, I don't think we actually covered it, but it's come up a number of times. It's actually quite good. And Norai is the one that we've covered on the show and featured a couple different times because I think it's a very interesting take on the quote-unquote found footage film. And it's got just a weird kind of inherent creepiness to it that a lot of the other ones don't have. So Koji is a very renowned director. This is a Korean and Japanese joint production. Very small cast. You only really have, really two main characters, a cameraman, and then two other people that happen upon the situation. But to set you up here, it is, as we said, it's a found footage flick. Your main narrative piece is a cameraman for a journalist, a South Korean journalist, and the cameraman is from Japan. So they very much they play on the South Korean and Japanese kind of back and forth and combination of cultures on this a little bit, which I thought was kind of interesting. But you have your main person, which is Sang-jun, who is a South Korean journalist. She is going to meet a man that she was friends with in school, who is also wanted for murder. And she is contacted by him because they have a connection and went to school together. Invites them to this abandoned apartment building, and basically kind of just goes through this whole thing about how he's committed 18 murders or 20 murders. But the reason why he's doing them is because these people have been marked, and that he is doing God's work to undo a wrong and bring back his child that had been killed many years earlier. His story is that when he completes these murders and these killings, not only will it wasn't his daughter, wasn't it? It was his childhood friend, not his daughter, right?
I'm going to agree with you because I don't remember.
It wasn't really clear. I think it was a childhood friend. Either way, but his whole thing is that when he's done with these 27 murders, not only will his friend that passed away be resurrected, but all 27 of the people that he murdered will also come back to life, and he will sacrifice his life to bring them back. It's kind of convoluted. It's not exactly explained real clearly, but that's kind of what they're going for. So you basically just have this journalist there to film everything, and he wants it filmed because he knows that no one is going to believe him, and he doesn't want to be looked at as a psychopath. He's looking at himself as a martyr in some way, shape, or form to bring these people back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So with all of that,
yeah,
nothing fucking happens. Through
no, it's a bunch of yelling.
Of it. 95%.
I mean, they're going for a one take found footage movie, which is admirable.
Yep.
But if the story sucks, it doesn't matter.
And that is something I find with a large number, not that there's a large amount of films that do the one take thing, but there are a large chunk out there that do. And again, this is just like any other one take film. It's not actually one take, but, in order to be able to use the long take method, you usually will have long stretches of needless dialogue or just things that allow the camera to kind of just be set in one spot so that you don't necessarily have to do a whole lot with it. And this film really, really suffers from that trope of long, extended, needless dialogue, without actually explaining it. I think that's the thing that frustrated me the most about this was that you get, I don't know, 45 minutes into this movie, and we don't even really know why he's like doing the things that he's doing. We get a couple of little things, and they do eventually explain it, and it kind of plays itself out. But by then, I didn't care. So,
it feels like someone wanted to write a Lovecraft story about forbidden knowledge and dark magic and stuff like that, and just didn't have the fundamentals down of why the madness, first shows itself in the guy. And like, he's just manic. He's not, I have information that no one else has, which is what he does. I know the truth, and I need to convince people, and I have to finish, and I want you to be a part of it to record. Like, he was just batshit crazy from the beginning, just violent and unpredictable, and like, no, I don't believe you. You look like you're having a really bad episode right now. It was very off-putting.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I think this is, I mean, as a basic idea, I'm on board. I like it. I'm like, okay, great. Yeah. The issue is that they take so long to really have anything happen or have anything change or, like move the story. It just, it's really frustrating. They eventually, bring another couple into this, which made it more interesting, but then they didn't really they hinted at some stuff with the two of them. So basically what happens is he tells the two of them the stories of how, he's murdered these people, but this is what's going to happen. He's not a psychopath. He has a reason. God has spoken to him. He's going to do this to bring these other people back. Know that I'm not the bad guy. It seems that way, but know that this is going to be, this is going to all work out and be okay.
Yeah, and I think movies are better off when they show you not through the character that says, I'm not the bad guy, when they show you through different avenues that, in fact, he was right. And you know that, so then you're watching the disbelief of the normal real-world characters, and you're like, oh, you're in for a surprise.
Right.
Here, it was just like, yeah, just kill him and get it over with.
Yeah. So he's having these discussions with the two of them in this abandoned apartment building, and nothing. He kills two people that were there that he had already kidnapped. Yep. They try to tell him not to do it. And this is again running into one of the tropes with the found footage film that bugs me. Of there's a lot of opportunities for these two to really stop him.
Yeah.
And put an end to this. All you have to do is put down the camera and you can end this. But
especially when it was 4 against 1.
Right, exactly. And even before that point, like, you know what? You take the camera off your shoulder and you hit him over the head with it.
Yeah. Even if you threw the camera at him, it would be enough of a, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
For you to get in there.
Right. At no point did they really truly try to get away. And then even end up helping him to a point later on.
And then the movie takes a turn in the third act that makes me hate it.
And it is?
Oh, I thought we could lead up to that.
Oh, okay. Well,
give a little tease.
A little tease. I mean, so basically he explains all this stuff to them. They don't believe him because he's a stark raving mad murderer. He kills these two people. He puts them into a chokehold and cuts off the blood flow and kills them that way. So he's not like that. And the thing too is like everyone is all bloodied up and like, but then he like puts them to death easily, like quietly. And I'm like, well, you already like went there.
Yeah.
So you're not like doing anyone any favors.
No.
So
no.
There's a point where
because there's the psychological torture well ahead of that.
Yeah. So there's a point where these two young Japanese couple that are on their honeymoon are in the abandoned building, and you hear them talking about how they were in the they wanted to check it out, and the girl's like, no, we should leave. And so then they come into the room where they are and basically jump the two of them, tie them up, and then he's going to murder the two of them as part of this ritual that he has. But they now mention this thing about being marked, which I don't even think we had heard to that point.
Nope.
And he realizes that these two are not marked. So rather than like just kill them or, let them go or whatever, because if he's not really a psychopath, like he shouldn't want to kill them. They go through this.
Right. He should be like an anti-hero, like a Venom. Like, oh, you're not Spider-Man. Get out of here.
Right. So there's this point where like he then, rather than just, let them go or like, knock them unconscious and then they leave or like all of these things when he keeps talking, because he keeps talking about how he's not the bad guy. But then goes through this...
Which is something a bad guy says.
Right, usually. But then goes through this process of essentially torturing the two of them. He ends up raping the girl.
There's where the movie got an F from.
Yes.
Spoiler.
So why don't you explain to our listeners kind of where it goes from the point here?
Well, they kind of goad him into it, which is strange. It's the boyfriend, the Japanese couple, right?
Yep.
That's who it was.
Yep.
And the boyfriend is kind of excited about it.
There's no kind of. He turns to the cameraman and says,
"Yeah,
we have a fantasy of this, and it's coming true."
Yeah, that's not. And then he sees it happen, and he's like, "Yeah, no, that wasn't cool." But she was really into it, which is a second trope in a movie that really just, oh no, she really wanted it. That's the trope. Yeah. It's like, fuck you, just fuck you. And then to top it all off, there's a standoff, and she grabs his hand and shoves it in her crotch to show how excited she is about all the violence. So she's the most fucked up one in the room.
Yeah,
now.
And they sort of kind of hint at the fact that the two of them were serial killers too. They don't outright say it, but there's something that the boyfriend says about, and I don't remember exactly what it said, but he says something along the lines of, like, we do this shit all the time, or like something about like, you act the way we act, or something that just posts them in a dark light, because now, again, the other guy's supposed to be the anti-hero. So these two who, what we thought were just stumbling in and innocents are now also really terrible people.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But it's the way it's presented in this is just, it doesn't work.
Oh, absolutely.
Doesn't work.
Absolutely.
Doesn't work. Yeah. So there's a point then where they all get loose, and they're all holding knives to each other and like the Japanese couple end up getting killed in the scuffle. They actually all end up getting like severely and mortally injured. The reporter gets stabbed a few times. The cameraman gets eviscerated and like has his guts falling out of his stomach. And then also the murderer gets stabbed through the hand, and they're all just really injured. But they come to the realization that they are the two final that need to be killed. Not the Japanese couple, but the reporter and the murderer, because the two of them are marked.
Yeah.
So, but the whole thing doesn't make sense. Like, there's no there's no supernatural stuff in the first. What was it? An hour and 50 minutes, something like that.
Yeah,
in the first hour and 47 minutes of the runtime of the film, there's nothing that you're not given anything that would make you think that anything this guy is spouting could be true. Spoiler alert, it is, but it just falls flat because they don't allude to anything at any point throughout it. And then the solution that you're given, if you think about it for more than like 2 seconds, doesn't really make any sense at all.
No, because because that's the kind of shit that somebody would absolutely say, my God, is this, is that, is, and none of it is referenced. He just says God.
Right.
And that's really lazy. It's like, oh, well, we'll figure it out in the end. It feels like. And what happens is they're on the balcony outside, and they're all slowly dying. And then tentacles open up from a cloud formation in the sky, and then they smack the dude, and the camera appears on the street.
Well,
in front of the
there's the whole
girl,
thing first,
right?
where it grabs him and pulls him back to 1996 at the moment that the little girl.
Oh, see, I didn't think he went back there. I thought it was just the camera.
No. He went back there because there's the point he's yelling at the kids. He's like, "You can't be here. You guys have to leave."
Oh,
and the little girl's like, "Well, what about you?" And he's like, "Don't worry about me. It's not about me." Because then he turns the camera on himself, and he's still injured, like his ear's missing and stuff.
Right.
But then after he gets killed, because the whole thing is, I mean, we've already ruined this movie because this little girl got hit by a car and killed, and he took her place and gets hit by the car and killed. And when he gets hit by the car, the camera then appears. Back in modern day
that part.
On New Year's Eve of 2014.
Right before the girl and the guy were called to the hotel.
Correct.
So in theory, he was right, but if every timeline is a separate timeline, he's wrong.
Right, and there's no explanation of any of that. And the ending too runs with the Koji Shishari thing that is kind of a hallmark of almost any movie I've seen of his. Really bad computer generated graphics.
Yeah, I'm glad they only saved it for like that part.
Yep. Because like if you go back and watch a Cult, or if you go back and watch Norai, those movies are fun for what they are, and I enjoy them. But this is kind of like that, like really just cheesy. Like we didn't really have the money to make it look good, but we're gonna still do it anyway.
Yeah.
So, all right. Yeah. Well, let's I guess give it a go. All right, Chris. Do you recommend A Record of Sweet Murder, and what is your grade?
No. I don't recommend it because I have decided I'm not going to give any credence to movies that use rape as a plot device. Because fuck that. That's lazy. Find a different way for your characters to have a conflict.
Right.
You know?
Right.
It's so 1970s, it feels. And then to do she really liked it. Fuck you. Just fuck everything in this movie. The first 2/3 of it went nowhere. The last third, they like threw every shitty idea they had. I don't care about this at all. I'm never going to watch it again. It's not even going to come up as a worst movie because it's not. First of all, it's not the worst movie. Mm-mm. It's just got a bunch of really shitty old ideas in it.
Yeah.
That I think we've moved past. I think with all of the more slow burn horror that we've seen, I think it is possible to tell a story without relying on to male or female or anyone else, any kind of sexual assault. Mm-hmm. That doesn't need to happen. So F and no.
I'm agreeing with you.
A rape scene is gonna most 99% of the time it's gonna make me hate the movie. But unless it's like The Accused and that's what it's about.
Well, that's the thing, is if it's used in the right way, and it actually moves the story in the direction that you want the story to, or you know what I mean.
If it couldn't be anything else. How about that? Right. That's what I'm going with. If it couldn't be any other conflict.
Right. For example, the film Teeth. The rape scenes in Teeth are needed because it moves the story in the direction you want to move it into, because it's a movie about a killer vagina.
I would hope going in you would know what the movie is a little bit about and that it is focused on that. Yes. That is a whole different thing. Right. Like I'm on the fence with how I feel about the rape scene in Ninja Scroll, because the rock dude, because I don't remember their names.
I don't remember their names. Jubei's the only
finger blast and the female ninja eventually leads to his invulnerability falling because she's so filled with toxic poison, which I didn't need to put toxic in front of that, that it ruins his outer shell, making him vulnerable. But they probably could have solved that with a kiss.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
unfortunately, it's part of cinema and it's part of genre cinema, and I understand its place and it's uncomfortable in a lot of the ways that it is. My issue with a lot of that stuff is when it is presented in a way that almost kind of glorifies what's happening, and that's what this movie did. This movie kind of
this was an achievement for him.
Right.
Oh, I bet you can't do it. Well, why the fuck would you say that?
Right.
Because now, obviously, he's clearly okay, because she wants it. Great. Do you? Is that what you want to see? But it's her body, her choice. I don't even know where the fuck to go on this. It's so messed up.
Yeah. either way, I didn't like this either, and I am also not going to recommend it. I've liked a lot of Koji's movies. I think some of those other ones that are silly and fun, like a cult, which are kind of related in a sort of way, and then Norai, I think, are all fun versions of what this is, and none of them rely on rape or like 45 minutes of commentary that you don't need. So I recommend those in the place of this one, because this one just, it suffered from not only, you know, we talked about the needless sexualization of the female character, but also just like it's super slow and they don't bother to give you anything in those slow moments. You know, we've talked a lot recently about, you know, the different, you know, slow burn horror movies that have come out, and there's so many easy ways to do that and make it interesting and give you enough without spoiling everything right off the bat. This didn't give you anything to keep you interested in what was going to happen. So even when you get the reveal that everything was true, I didn't care because it didn't do anything for me because there was nothing at stake for me as I was watching it.
Yeah. Let me sidetrack here for a second. I watched this movie out of the blue called The Great and Terrible Day of the Lord.
Okay.
It's a 2020 release. Let me just go back a page here. Directed by Jared J. Mason and Clark Runciman. It's the first feature that he's done, but it's about, let me just get the synopsis here. Let's see. For their first romantic getaway as a couple, Gabby and Michael take a trip to a remote upscale cabin in the mountains. The first night takes a terrifying turn when Michael slips into an alternate persona that claims to be God, speaking through Michael's body. He delivers the message that Gabby will die before the end of the trip and is destined for hell unless she will believe what Michael says is true, repent, and worship him. Is Michael a manipulative psychopath intent on gaslighting her? Is he mentally ill? Or could the impossible really be happening? A direct experience with her creator offering one last lifeline out of an unthinkable eternity. Okay. It's a talking movie, but I'm going to be honest and say it's got some really, really good arguments for why God exists. Okay. A couple of times I'm like, if somebody had told me that might have worked on me. It's a much better movie about you're going to die. There's a God that's telling someone things. So it's I don't know if I unfairly compared it in my head, but it definitely reminded me that it was a better version. Yeah. I was just really impressed. It's almost like a recruitment video for religion, the way like he explains his stuff. I was very impressed with the writing in it. This one, no. Oh, my God says I have to do this. Well, your God's a dick. Shut up.
So yeah, to conclude, I do not recommend it. I'm not going to fail it. I'm going to give it I'll give it a D-. I'll give it as low as I can without actually failing it. As to whether this would show up on my worst of the year, it potentially, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we've watched some garbage this year, so.
That is true. Yeah.
But yeah, so there you have it. Next up, 1982 Superstition. Here's a trailer.
All those stories about murders and ghosts. It's haunted, they say. I'm scared.
Two kids were killed out there. One kid was gutted and slashed to death. The other microwaved.
There was a warning.
There are many houses on this foundation. All of them and their tenants come to bad ends.
And only one man listened.
Well, when did this violence begin?
There was a legend.
We want justice! Murder! I will not die!
And only one man believed.
Am I too late? Has it already started?
There is a superstition, and will anyone survive? Superstition. The victims who died were the lucky ones. Superstition.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were the lucky ones because they didn't have to watch the movie.
I know. Oh, Superstition, also known under the title The Witch, among others. Directed by James W. Robertson. You might remember him from...
I don't know what.
Guess Superstition?
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I'm looking here.
I'm going through 80s movies and TV shows in my head. And I'm like, I don't know who that
No,
fucking
he
guy
actually
is.
didn't do a whole lot of
Okay.
a whole lot of stuff. So he was a camera operator for a little while. So he worked on Rat Race of all movies. Did some DP work, some TV work. Did a little bit of acting. He was
Just
in
dabbled.
Terror on Tour. Director of photography on School of Rock.
Okay.
All right. I don't know. Superstition starring James Houghton, Albert Salmi, Lynn Carlin, Larry Pennell, Jacqueline Hyde, and others. Story of a witch who was put to death in 1692. She swears vengeance upon her persecutors, and she's going to return to present day to punish their descendants.
So we watched Hocus Pocus 2.
Sure. I wish we did. I wish we did. Yeah, man.
The whole witch thing isn't introduced until like the last 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's funny that this film ended up with the other one because this film did the same thing that movie did, where they didn't bother to tell you the story of the movie until you were like so deep in it that you were like, well, I guess I'll watch the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I was watching it and it opens with these two kids in a car making out. And it's that classic 80s trope that this again delves back into what we talked about with the other film, whereas the girl is uncomfortable. She's scared. She doesn't feel safe where they are. And the guy, rather than being like, okay, no problem, let's go somewhere else. Oh, don't you love me, baby?
Yeah, no, my tickle make you brave.
Oh, it's fine. I thought you loved me. It's cool. I don't care if you're scared. You told me that you love me. Which is something that's just an inherently 80s movie thing, which you just see all the time in 80s movies. And I actually like the girl's response because she's like, yeah, I love you. She's like, it's got nothing to do with that. It's got to do with the fact that it's fucking scary out here.
Yeah.
So these other two kids that are there take a Halloween decoration and drop it on the hood of the car, and these two they Wile E. Coyote their way out of there. And then we find that these two, pranksters or whatever were setting this up, and you got one inside the house, which apparently is abandoned, but apparently it's not abandoned also. So, and then I guess the witch gets the two of them. According to the detective, as you heard in the trailer, one of them was microwaved. No. One of them was decapitated. That's what killed him, not the microwave. He was definitely already dead when his head was in the microwave.
Oh, that's good. I'm going to have to make a note of that. Decapitation kills you, not the microwave.
Not the microwave.
Shit, I've been doing it wrong.
And so the two of those guys get killed. Somehow the guy's trying to climb out a window and he gets cut in half by the window, but yet it's not open. It's not like an open glass. It's like the
No,
window
not
frame.
at all. It's just the wood, the wood edge of it, just slowly trying to push its way
Eventually
through.
cuts him in half.
Yeah.
So that's
right
the
along
first...
the shirt belt line too, which is pretty impressive.
This film does something that's pretty fucking amazing though. It's an hour and 21 minutes, and that scene that we're talking about, which really doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the movie other than to let you know there's some sort of presence in this house, takes up the first 15 minutes of the runtime. So
Yeah.
of the hour and 21 minutes, 15, well, maybe not 15, we'll say 13 minutes. The first 13 minutes of that 121 is taken up with characters that don't have anything to do with the rest of the movie, other than the presence in the house. And it still manages to be one of the longest movies I've watched all year.
It did seem ridiculously long.
Oh my God, man. So it's a church. The church owns the house. We have a new minister guy that's in there. We have a new minister. We have a young priest, and we have an old priest.
Didn't we watch something like this not that long ago?
Called The Exorcist.
No, it was something. It was the worst movie I'd ever seen. What was it that we watched a short while ago?
I couldn't tell you. I don't remember offhand.
All right, I'll figure it out and tell you where's my phone.
So they're I don't know, like figuring out the books and the bills for the house for the church, and the young guy is like the cool hip priest, wears jeans with his priest collar. And then what has got to be the worst cop ever? Just this dude comes in and he's like, "Hey, listen, like, Father. Oh, you're the new guy? Pff, you won't last long." And then they're like, "So anyway, the church owns this house and this land, and a couple kids got killed up there." And then rather than being like, "Hey, it's a murder investigation, we need to figure out who killed these kids," he's just like, "That place is a cesspool. The kids just go up there to make out. And there's a pond there, and the kids go skinny dipping in the pond." And I'm like, two kids were murdered. Like that should be the focus. So he's like essentially like yelling at the two priests to be like, "Hey, do something about this." And they're like, "Okay, I guess we'll do something about it." So they go to visit the place, and then there's this weird thing about like all these people that live there. But yet, when we're introduced to the house at the beginning, it is very obviously nobody there. Like, and then there's like another house or something that the old lady lives in, and she's got a son that's got mental issues. And then there's these people that are just like weed whacking the front of the house for no reason. And then they're like, "Oh, the new reverend's coming, and he's gonna live here with his family."
Yeah. What?
Okay, all right.
It's like the last movie. They invite him to an abandoned apartment complex, but he knows that this Japanese couple is coming back. It's abandoned. How do you know?
Yeah.
Weird.
It's all very weird.
Things. I think the movie I was thinking of was Things, where people sit around and talk a lot and do nothing.
Yeah. So they start fixing the house up, I guess. Even though supposedly there's people that are living there. But yet we never see any of the people other than the old woman and the mentally challenged son, who they say keeps like stealing things and giving offerings to his mistress. Okay.
But wasn't she imaginary? Is that what?
They thought she was imaginary, but it's obviously the witch. But you wouldn't know that because they don't tell you about the witch until 55 minutes into the hour and 21 minute runtime. So they are like, "I know he killed those kids." And it's like, well, okay, arrest him then.
Right.
They never arrest the guy, but yet they're blaming him. And then the cops are like staking out outside, and then the witch eventually gets the other cop because Sergeant Cranky Pants is like, go follow the kid. And so he follows the kid down to the lake, and then he goes and looks in the lake, and then Jason Voorhees did it where like these two hands came up and grabbed him and pulled him into the water. It's all cliched, man. This film is just so cliched of like so many other movies that we've seen.
Yeah.
I hated
this movie.
Mostly. But I really hated how they just kind of kept like not doing anything through the whole film. And then when eventually the young priest figures out that like something's going on and he needs to figure out what's happening. He talks to the old woman who seems to know a little bit, but she's like, "Oh, you got to go to the old church and get the old books to figure out what's going on." And then we get like 15 minutes of flashback scenes of the witch. Who they murder in the strange, like they sacrifice this witch in the strangest way possible. Every time I've ever seen a witch sacrifice, they burn them at the stake. So this girl, what they do is they tie her to like a telephone pole and then take the telephone pole out to the edge of the pond and then knock over the telephone pole into the pond and drown her. All right.
Yeah.
And then the house burns down because he curses them.
Yeah. Oh, that was the church, right? The church was burning.
Sure.
I remember that because I'm like, that's a pretty big church. It's got a whole lot of space.
Yeah. And then the old priest gets killed in the house by accident. This guy's they're working on the house, so a guy's got a saw and he's cutting a table. And then the saw blade in a way that just could not happen because it's a table saw, so it's got a edge on it. So the blade flies off of the end of it in a direct line against all gravity, which I'll suspend for a minute because there's a witch in the house. That's fine.
Sure.
And plunges itself into the chest of the old priest. But at no point when the blade hits his body does the blade slow down, and it spins, and because they show it spinning as it digs into his chest. Also, it's a different color saw blade than we saw in the saw originally, and it saws its way all the way through his chest and out his back and falls on the floor.
Yeah. That was the witch's Gigan attack.
Sure. Get over here! Like I'm just like, no, it's. So they eventually find the story of the witch cursing the place. The new reverend is moved in with his two hot daughters, which they almost start to explore, but they don't, because she's then swimming in the pond where like multiple people have been killed over the years.
Yeah.
And it just all kind of just happens. Everything in this movie just happens.
Yeah. There was a bunch of arguing about draining the pool, like at the pond. I mean, it's like, just fucking do something. Could we just do something?
Yeah, and so the family's got the two daughters. They got a younger son, and apparently the son has been kept in the dark about how life works because he's like, "Hey, we got a pool." That's not a pool, son. That's not a pool. Not a pool. But they do kill the kid, which is something that you don't see very often from films of this time period. So it had that, but this has got that like early 80s Amityville horror, the first couple Friday the 13th. It's got that very kind of like specific feel to it. And they try really hard to like make it feel like it's stylish, but it just doesn't work. It's just very plain in the way that they're trying to make it stylish, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
What else am I missing? I don't feel like there's any. The film is just like there's nothing. Like, the cinematography's boring. The score is boring.
Yeah,
I'm curious as to why Howard suggested this, because I'm thinking maybe he suggested it because it's a film this time that we haven't covered, and also is one that's was kind of lost for a while. It wasn't, and it's really not that available right now either. It had been, as you said, to me, I say it like everyone knew, it was available on some streaming services, but as of right now, it's not available anywhere.
Right.
So,
right.
I don't know, man, but I guess we'll grade.
Sure.
All right, Chris, do you recommend, and what is your grade for Superstition?
No, I am not going to recommend this one either, and I'm just going to give it a D. I was bored.
There's really not a lot you could say about this movie outside of that saw blade thing. There's really not much. Really not much.
Yeah.
The acting is super wooden and flat. There's not a lot of gore. The witch is basically just like covered in black grease paint. And you don't even see her until the very end of the movie, and it's for such a short amount of time. Yeah, I don't recommend this either.
No.
I don't recommend this either. I'm not mad that I watched it. Like, I love horror flicks from this time period, so like I'm not pissed about it, but it definitely is not something I'll ever revisit again. And I definitely don't recommend it to the listeners. So Howard, you done fucked up, dude.
or he knew exactly what he was doing.
Maybe. I can see why someone would be into this. Like, for me, it didn't give me anything that I hadn't had before. I like the idea that they were like, oh, we're gonna put the head in the microwave and make the head explode. Dude, I've seen Microwave Massacre. It's been done.
Exactly. I've heard the song "Dare to Be Stupid" by Weird Al.
Right. So I'm gonna give it a grade of a D. Not a D minus, but a D.
Okay.
And there you have it. All right. Cool. I guess. So Joe, our good friend, is on the Final Destination, which is the 4th in the series, right?
I don't know.
All right, then. Well, we'll just play it and see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, hello, Bill. Hello, Chris. And hello, OTC Nation. It's your boy Joe here. And this week, Bill took me from the fairgrounds to the racetrack because he made me watch the Final Destination. Well, someone's pants are on fire because I clearly see Final Destination 5 right there next to this in the listings on HBO Max. Worse yet, it wasn't like this was the Final Destination, like the final destination, and then like years and years later, someone had like a brilliant flash of an idea for a 5th movie, and it was so good that they just had to make it. No, there was like barely 2 years difference between this one and Part 5. Not to mention, I just looked at the wiki, and there's an untitled 6th film in the works. Now, despite my tone here, I'm actually fine with it because A, I have no power to hold them to the standard of if you're going to call your thing the final thing, make it the final fucking thing. And B, the world has bigger problems. I do, however, think that the blame lies mostly with the granddaddies of these films. Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, both beloved franchises of mine, no matter how bad they got, they simply ended up with a few too many entries per franchise, and a few too many broken promises of final chapters and Freddy's dying. But I digress because I haven't even started this thing yet. Early prediction, the story that will seem like, this story is going to seem like it was written as teenage Final Destination fanfic, and there's going to be some cool death scenes. Right off the bat, and I don't mean to discourage anyone, yes I do. We open at a NASCAR event, and immediately I want everyone on the track and in the stands to die. I want a tire flying off a car into the stands where it caves in the face of a woman wearing a Trump can grab me by the pussy shirt, but she doesn't die immediately. She gurgles and spasms a lot. I want one of the cars to hit the pit crew and send a tire iron at supersonic speed through the chest cavities of a group of Oath Keepers and Proud Boys who were, up until just now, super amped that they got front row tickets at a group discount. The camera obviously will go to chest level of the first dickhead, and we see through all their bodies, all their open, gaping, bloody chest cavities in a neat little line. And lastly, I want a pit crew member who has that gas can thing that they just hold up, like the big vertical gravity gas can, knocked back, and he sprays gas all over a family, all wearing Fuck Your Feelings t-shirts. And because their 12-year-old daughter was smoking either meth or a Marlboro Red, they all go up in flames and, just dance around in pain, and we cut to credits. However, given the ever dumbing down of these films and the audience that is presumably left, this opening scene makes sense. And now even more sense has been made since it's the same opening the first 3 films had, with the vision and the freaking out and the saving just the right amount of people to fit the special effects budget. Except this time it was written by a Five Finger Death Punch cover band on their 5th round of Red Bull and vodka. The first of the doomed survivors to go is the neo-Nazi, and thank Buddha for that. I thought they were going to do a mini redemption story here since he has beef with the black security guard. Nope, he just gets covered in gas and dragged behind his tow truck, and then the chain sparks and he's on fire, and good.
Okay.
Not so good is the subtlety of how death manipulates the environment to clean up its mistake, because that shit's just gone, baby, gone. The next one is a good swerve, as the suburban bitch mom has like 30 close calls before a riding mower simply shoots a rock through her head.
Okay.
I'm noticing that they've chosen to make most of these people the kind of people that you absolutely don't mind seeing die in a horrible way, which is a mistake in my opinion. Give me one or two of them. Give me one or two of the people who I'm like, God, I can't wait to see this fuckstick die. And make the rest of the people I want to see make it. Their death will mean more.
Mm-hmm.
Next up is the mechanic guy, who's also kind of an asshole, but his wife caught a high-speed car tire that, like, blasted off the northeast quadrant of her body right in front of him. So I guess he kind of gets a pass. He gets mushed into a fence that somehow has the tensile strength and sharpness to cut him up into little diamonds instead of just crushing him. This movie's starting to wear on me, fellas. I'm getting a little bit, yeah. Richie McJockerson eats it next when he gets his asshole sucked into a pool drain and it sucks his guts out. Yep.
Forgot about that
But
one.
here's the best part. While he's stuck and struggling, they show the pressure gauge and it barely reaches 140 psi before literally sucking his intestinal tract out through his asshole.
Nice.
Anyone that's ever worked with compressed air will hopefully chuckle like I did. Like 140 psi would probably give you a decent bruising, and that's about it. Next up, a cowboy gets crushed by a bathtub, and it would take way too long for me to explain that one. You're just going to have to trust me. Bubba Gump, or whatever his name was, he's the security guard, Forrest Gump's friend who died in Vietnam and then suddenly lost all his acting talent. Well, he gets hit by an ambulance, and this movie has lost its steam like the Industrial Revolution. The last 20 minutes of this are a big disaster scene in a mall that turns out to be yet another vision, and at this point, I'm out. At this point, I'm just looking at cute redheaded ladies on my phone. I'll leave you with this. If an OSHA inspector saw how this mall stores 55-gallon drums of flammable substances, they would have a goddamn field day.
Why does
Here's
the mall
the thing.
have that?
The good.
I don't know.
I wasn't really genuinely disappointed by any of this because I knew what it was going to be going in. The bad. Whew. The CGI is one step better than Sharknado. The story is thinner than a pair of dollar store socks. The acting is weaker than an 80-year-old asthmatic. I'm sure the people who like to proudly state that they're stupid loved this thing, and that's fine. They need something to watch too. I didn't really. The Final Destination, or I should say the not really Final Destination, gets a C-, and I'll be back next week with the actual final, for now, Destination 5. Ah, fuck, I got a headache now. Until then, be good, everyone.
Yeah, I remember that being a pretty weak entry, if I'm not mistaken. So it is what it is, and I'm sure Scott's got something to say about it too, because I know he loves. So I mean, we've said this before, but Scott loves the Final Destination series, so I'm assuming he's going to keep going here with his review. So let's take a listen. Have you guys seen Things? Oh, you got to see Things.
I see things every day.
I
and
see
stuff.
Things every day too, and all of them are better than this.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. With Reverend Scott.
I do weird shit to people's bodies. That freaks everybody out, and it always will. Yeah.
Hey there, Bill and Chris. This is Reverend Scott. Fear not, I have returned this week.
Okay, he's back. So I'll stop talking shit.
I'll tell you what, if there's one thing I know you can't live without, it's holy shit.
No, nobody wants this shit. Get this out of here.
Don't worry, you'll get your wish in about 7 or 8 minutes.
I just wish you would stop.
Anyway, I'm going to try and keep up with the Joseses and revisit the Final Destination. but I'm already a week behind on reviewing your reviews, and especially since you'll hate reliving the experience, let's hop in the old Wayback Machine and I'll grant you another wish and talk a little about trauma and things.
I wish I could just wish my feelings away.
So Trauma, it was a movie, that's for sure.
And you made a fun quip the other day when I sent you the films, and you were like, "Why do I think Dario Argento's Trauma will actually be mine?"
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Yeah, I mean, there's a good chance."
I've never seen this. I never will see this. Here's what I do know. Severed heads talk in it.
That pissed me off so fucking much.
Here's also what I know.
It's better than Giallo. It's better than his Dracula 3D movie that he made. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's also better than Brussels sprouts. Getting kicked in the nuts and having 2 root canals done at the same time.
I didn't see those. Are those newer Argento flicks, or?
I'm done talking about this. I mean, I didn't really talk about it, but I'm done regardless. And I give Trauma an F+. And I give the review a B-. So next up, Things. It was barely a movie, that's for sure.
Have you seen Things? And if someone responds with the word no, I'm going to say, good. Keep it that way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have seen Things. Thankfully, it was so long ago that I've mostly forgotten about it. So let's hear a trailer.
I'm not even going to play a trailer for this movie because there's no.
Thank you.
There's no way.
Thank you. Scott can do it when he does the recap for us.
Fine, I'll play one.
Hi, and welcome to TV9 News. I'm Amber Lynn.
So they go into the house. It's supposed to be his brother's house, and they're like, "Doug, where are you, Doug? Are you home, Doug? I hope Doug's okay. Doug, where are you? Are you in the bedroom? It's about time. It's about time we got some beers."
Yes.
Do you think Doug will care if we drink his beers?
Also-
no, man. Doug's my brother.
They're still standing at the front door at this point.
Doug, where are you? Doug.
Things, a horrifying sensation that'll rip apart your soul.
Doug.
I guess it's kind of so bad it's less bad, but certainly not so bad it's good.
No, I mean, this is fucking garbage. It really is. I'm sorry if you made this movie and you're listening to it, but it never should have been seen by anybody outside of your group of friends.
I agree. I give Things an F+ as well, and I give the review an A-. So that's good at least. So moving on, after a pretty solid trilogy of films, we have The Final Destination, aka Final Destination 4, aka the one with the NASCAR wreck scene.
It could be incredible, right? It could be like the most entertaining thing in the world, but then also it could just be bad.
Yeah.
Could just be bad.
Well, I have some bad news for you. It's not the most entertaining thing in the world. I will give it this, though. I saw this movie in the theater in 3D.
Really? That's cool.
Okay.
And it was by far the best 3D I've ever seen in a movie theater. Car tires and engines flying at the screen, and so do the body parts as they explode at you. And 2 rows up from us was a family with their 5-year-old.
How dare they?
I know. What were they thinking?
Right.
Anyway, besides having amazing 3D, like the kind of 3D that makes your body physically flinch unconsciously as it reacts to things flying at you, this movie also had some gnarly deaths, like the kid being sucked into a pool drain ass first, which I know Chris hates that.
Because it makes me feel gross.
No, I agree 100%.
But at the end of the day,
This is real fucking bad.
Yeah.
the acting is rough at best. The story is uninspired at best, and especially compared to the previous entries. Maybe not so much 3, but at least 1 and 2. And if anyone tells you this is their favorite entry in the Final Destination series, they're lying.
Which is real bad.
Or they were that 5-year-old kid that I saw in the theater on opening weekend.
Which is worse.
I hope you learned all about the quote-unquote plot and characters from Joe, because I'm not going to bother. I give the Final Destination a D+. I only recommend it due to a few entertaining death scenes, a racist being killed, and it gets referenced in what I'm going to cover next time, Final Destination 5. But more on that after Joe covers it too. So make sure you tune in to Outside the Cinema next week when Chris is confused by me giving him a t-shirt he didn't expect to receive, but it's in his exact size.
Oh, yeah, this fits. I see what he was doing.
Then Bill proves the equation E = MC squared to be incorrect.
Which, in theory, you're like, oh, there's nothing wrong with that, but there is.
All that and so much more Einstein would shake his head at. But until then, peace and love, guys. Holy shit with Reverend Scott.
There's just a lot of stuff in this.
There are a lot of ideas in this thing, and none of them really stick to the wall at all. Boogity boo!
There we go. If that was the best 3D movie he's ever seen in a theater, like, did he see any other 3D movies? Has he ever seen a little film you might have heard of called Avatar? I don't know, huh? So, anyway, thanks for hanging out with us. As always, if you could join the Patreon, that'd be dope. Patreon.com/OutsideTheCinema. Follow us on Instagram at OTCBill and at Cthulhu. You can join our Facebook group. Just go to the groups section of Facebook and type in Outside the Cinema, and it'll show up.
Yeah.
Next week on the show, I don't know. We'll see.
Sounds good.
Anything else you want to add, Chris?
No.
All right, cool. Hey, everyone, have a good week. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.